8.5 is all about adding and subtracting polynomials. So we've done we've done multiplication with polynomials and monomials, I should say, with the exponent rules and everything. So now we're going to start doing things with the polynomials, more than one term, and see what happens here. So we're focusing on adding and subtracting, which is relatively simple. There are a couple different ways that you can do each, so I will present them in both ways. We can add and subtract vertically, or we can add and subtract horizontally. And depending on what type of problem you're doing, sometimes it's presented vertically and sometimes it's presented horizontally. So you want to be familiar with both so you can succeed in both, of course. So when you're adding vertically, these are already written vertically for you, so they're stacked. So the x squareds are in this column, the x's are in this column, and the whole numbers are in this column. So if you were to add these together, we remember that when we add like terms, nothing will happen to the exponent. So if we go back to our stair step, let's back up a little. Exponent, multiply, add, nothing. And we haven't used that nothing step yet. We actually used it a long time ago at the beginning of the year, but you didn't know it. So these are addition problems. So according to the stair step, if you're doing an addition problem, then you do nothing to the exponents. For example, 3x squared minus 7x squared is going to be negative 4x squared. So they are still x squareds. That's what they are. This tells us how many there are. So we're doing 3 plus a negative 7, which is of course negative 4. Here we've got negative 4x plus 2x. So negative 4 plus 2 would be negative 2, and it's still just a plain old x. And 8 minus 5 would give us 3. So we're just adding down, basically, is all we're doing. Remembering that the exponents will do nothing. They will not change. X squared plus 2x squared, this is understood to be 1x squared plus 2x squared would be 3x squared. These are understood to be 1x plus 1x. 1 plus 1 is 2x. And 6 minus 5 is 1. So we're just adding the coefficients. And if you know how to add and subtract, then this is very simple. Just make sure you do not change the exponents. All right? That's vertical. Horizontal is the same idea. This one reminds me more of CLT, which we did at the beginning of the year, combining like terms, is really all we're doing. So this is an addition problem. So we have 4x squared plus 3x squared would give us 7x squared. 2x minus 4x would be negative 2x. And negative 7 plus 3 would be negative 4. Boom, done. That's it. Okay? Number 4, same thing. You just want to make sure you're always combining the like terms. Don't try to combine something with something else that's not like it. So we start with this negative 2x cubed minus 2x cubed would be negative 4x cubed. 5x squared and, oop, there's no x squareds here. So he's just going to come down because he has no one to combine with. Negative x and positive 3x would be 2x. And positive 8 and negative 4. 8 minus 4 is 4. Notice I have been trying to use some shapes to help me see the different ones. You could also use colors. So you could highlight these with yellow and these two with pink. Or you can do it in your head. It depends on how your brain works. You do whatever works for you. Okay? So we're doing exactly the same thing in both of these problems. This is one is written on, they're stacked on top, and one's written side to side. Okay. For subtracting, we have to go back to an idea that you learned in junior high, possibly. If we did negative 5 minus 8, a lot of times they say leave, change, opposite. They're saying that you leave this guy alone, change this sign, and do the opposite of this guy. Leave, change, opposite. Or I used to teach it, add the opposite. So you change it to an addition problem and then change the sign on that guy. And then negative 5 plus negative 8 would be negative 13. So we want to apply the same exact idea here. Adding horizontally is simple, combining like terms. But when we subtract, what we want to do is change it into an addition problem. That's our main goal. Change it into an addition problem so that we can use what we did in this problem right here. So if I can change this to addition, I can't just change it to plus. That's not how it works. But if we're subtracting all of these guys, then really what we're doing is distributing a -1 to each of them. So I'm going to go that way first. So if I were to distribute a -1 to each of these, this would be -4p squared, -10p, and +9. Okay? So we're distributing a -1, and then we're combining them. So what we end up getting is 6p squared minus 3p plus 5, minus that, plus that. And so then it ends up being combining like terms still. So let's go ahead and do that. 6p squared minus 4p squared would be 2p squared. -3p, -10p would be -13p. And 5 plus 9 would be 14. Very simple. But can even be simpler than that if you want. If you're comfortable with that and you want to always distribute a -1 and then add them, that's fine. But there is a way using this method to make it a little easier. We can change this to addition, and then we want to make all of these opposite. So it's leave this guy alone, change the sign here, do the opposite of each of these. So this was a subtraction, I'm going to change it to addition. This one's going to be negative, this one's going to be positive. And then you can just combine like terms without having to rewrite everything. So we've got 2x cubed plus 2x cubed is 4x cubed. Leave the exponents alone. 5x squared and no x squared, so that's going to be 5x squared. -x minus 3x, -x minus 3x, or plus a -3x, be -4x. And 8 plus 4 would be 12. Okay? So if it's a subtraction problem, you can do it either way. This way is much quicker. But both ways work, so however you'd like to do it. We're going to skip over 7 and 8 and go to one of these crazy problems at the bottom. Okay? We've got 3 going on. Some people think you have to do them each separately. This one is being added to this one, then we're subtracting this one. So these are both positive, so we're going to leave them alone. We just want to change this negative. And when we change that negative, it only affects that guy. So we're leaving all of this alone, change this, and do the opposite of this. And then you combine them all in one step. So 3x plus 2x minus 7x. So 3x plus 2x is 5x plus a -7x would be -2x. Okay? 7y minus 3y minus 4y. So we have 7y minus 3y would be 4y. And 4y minus 4y is nothing. Make sure you don't put a y. It's going to drop out completely. And then we've got -4z, +6z. -4z plus 6z is 2z. Okay. One more. Now in this case, we're subtracting this guy and we're subtracting this guy. So leave this alone, add the opposite, add the opposite. So this guy is always going to stay the same unless there were a negative in the front, and then you'd have to change those also. So we have 2a minus 5a, and there's no a's over here. So 2a minus 5a is -3a. -4b, no b's, minus 7b. That would be -11b. -c minus 2c, that would be -3c. Minus 12c would be -15c. Okay. Let's add a couple more here. 11, we're going to actually do a perimeter problem. Find the perimeter of this triangle. 2x plus 4, 3x, 7x minus 1. How do we find the perimeter of anything? We just add up all the sides. So if you want to go the long way, you can write the whole thing out. 3x plus 2x plus 4 plus 7x minus 1. Add all the sides. That's all you're doing. 3x plus 2x plus 7x, that's 12x. And 4 minus 1 is 3. You do not need to do this step. You can if you want. But you can just go like this. 3x plus 2x is 5x plus 7x is 12x. 4 minus 1 is 3. So you can skip that step. There's no reason to do it. But if you want to, you can do it. I'm not going to tell you you can't. This one we're also going to find the perimeter of. This time it's a rectangle. This is 5x. And this is 3x minus 7. So how do we find the perimeter? The same way. We add up all the sides. So for some of you, it would be good to just, if this is a rectangle and that's 5x, you write 5x over here. This would be 3x minus 7. You do not need to write it all out. Let's just start adding. 5x plus 5x is 10x, plus 3x is 13, plus 3 more x is 16x. And then negative 7 minus 7 is going to be negative 14. Now these are perimeter, so it will just be units and units, whereas area would be units squared. All right, so that's adding and subtracting, and then applying that to a geometric problem to find the perimeter of a shape. All right, good luck.